Hello friends and welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. I hope you guys are doing wonderfully well. Arsenal fans, you certainly will, because those sweet Gunners, they're playing pretty sweet stuff at the moment. Intense, purposeful football, 7 wins out of 8, top of the Premier League at this moment in time as we go into this international break. But how did they do it? How did Arteta make Arsenal great again? That's what we're going to dive into in this video. If you are new to the channel and you haven't hit the subscribe button or the notification bell, it'll take you 2 seconds. Do me a favor and click that button for me. Let's put a like title on this one as well, because if you like this kind of stuff, we can of course do more. 4,000 likes on this video. Hit the button. Let's get started. First up, trusting Arteta and essentially trusting the process. The fact that Arteta was trusted despite an 8th place finish, a 5th place finish as well, and this general feeling that Arsenal bottled it last year means that it could have derailed them. It could have massively. Of course, the squad needed to be changed as well. And of course, losing that 4th spot to Spurs down the road as well. It stings. It hurts. And you have to believe in what he is trying to do and have a very clear understanding that success isn't linear. It's going to take a minute. But as time has progressed, and in particular last season, despite the early low of the first couple of games of the season, you started to see both a pattern of play, but also a profile of player that was very clear in terms of what Arteta wanted in terms of his philosophy. It all comes from Arteta. He's very clear in his vision, and they've given him that time to implement what he wanted. A huge part of that process was culling the weak. And I say that sort of tentatively because I don't want to kind of call anyone weak. And sometimes it's just not the right fit, or in particular, the right mindset. And that mindset needs to be in Arteta's image. That's how he saw this moving forward. He's a very serious character. And with Arsenal, there was a very clear feeling that the culture was wrong. The environment was flabby. It was a club that kind of wanted to kind of get back where they were, but didn't truly have an understanding of where they needed to go and what kind of fuel they needed for that. That fuel is passion, it's hunger, it's discipline. And that's what Arteta wanted. And in terms of creating that new culture, it allowed him to initially provide that blueprint for the team and then see who could stick around and who couldn't, who could be malleable and who couldn't. Arteta's cutthroat nature has seen him get rid of quite a few players, let's be honest. You know, Ozil, of course, left, Matteo Guendouzi, Hector Bellerin and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, all 3 different options really here, but all 3 good players, and I'm sure they're fine people as well. But that culture that Arteta wants of hunger and discipline, as I said, passion, desire to win, and not leaving anything out there, means that people that challenge authority, don't play by the principles that he wants to have in place, or just simply don't have that ruthless mindset, were passengers that had to be left behind. Because Arteta and Edu needed to feel comfortable about their investments. This is the perfect video for today's sponsors, the beautiful people at Lightyear. Now, the team at Lightyear know that investing can be intimidating, so what they've done is they've put together a gorgeous little platform that will allow international investing to be seamless for you guys, offering a multi-currency account that will allow us all to become shareholders and investors. Now, the idea of investing for a lot of people is incredibly intimidating, so what's great about Lightyear is the fact that you can spend just £1, as little as £1, investing in the biggest companies in the world to get a slice of that pie, because Lightyear are the lowest cost investment platform in the UK, with a conversion fee of just 0.35% on foreign exchange across Europe. Users can make an unlimited number of commission-free trades each month, and Lightyear charges no commission for starting an account or trading in general. I think the important thing to say here is that Lightyear want you to do well. They want you to be good investors. With that in mind, they will share news and insights related to the shares and funds they have on offer. Onto the app itself, and the big aim for Lightyear is to take the intimidating out of investing. The app gives users all the data that they need to make informed decisions to be better investors. Lightyear is available right now and is available across 20 countries across Europe. Now, don't forget, of course, it's important for me to say that the value of your portfolio can decrease as well as increase, and your capital is at risk. But if you are looking to become an investor, you've got to start somewhere, and Lightyear is Europe's cheapest investment platform. And today's sponsors, Lightyear, are allowing me to give you a $10 slice of a company of your choice. So just sign up using my code James, link is in the description right now. And once you've made that first trade, your $10 will magically appear in your account. So if you're going to get started, start with Lightyear. It's Europe's cheapest investment platform. No trading fees, no account fees. The only fee that you will be charged will be that conversion rate of 0.35%. So massive thank you to Lightyear for supporting the channel, and go and get involved. Links in the description. The next most important element for me is this clear pattern of play. And that's kind of doing it injustice. That's making it sound simple. And the style does come from the structure. There is that 4-3-3. But then there are all these tactical, multifaceted nuances that he has employed within this team. But they know what they're doing, and they're doing it in a fluent way. So it's both very effective, done at a pace, and is brilliant to watch for Arsenal fans and neutrals alike. So here we have Arsenal's average position map versus Leicester City. 4-2 this game was. Now, I think here we gain a true insight into the tactics of Mikel Arteta's side. So defence, first of all. When in possession, the defence resembles basically a back two, with Saliba and Gabriel being the two deepest in this team. In midfield, this is where it then gets really, really interesting. We see Ben White, number 4 here, who has been playing as a right back this season, take up a position along the same lateral plane as Thomas Partey, number 5. This means that Arsenal have virtually another midfield option when in possession, and it's a very useful outball for them. What that then allows is that Odegaard and Xhaka, they take up relatively high positions and focus their energies on attacking space around the box and receiving the ball in half spaces. In this game, it was Zinchenko, number 35, who played in the left-back role. His role this season is so interesting, and actually it's a trend that we're seeing with quite a few teams. I've done a video talking about De Zerbi, who's the new manager of Brighton. Go check that one out, because there's similarities to how they want to play when they've got the ball, and you're seeing it up and down the country, really, in terms of having players high up the pitch. So whilst playing as an attacking left-back, he has also taken up an inverted position at times, which again is designed to provide a midfield presence, which is also allowing Xhaka and Odegaard to get forward. In the graphic here, we see how this works on paper, because this allows Arsenal to virtually play 5 attackers, whilst also guaranteeing that they have that midfield dominance due to the technical ability of both their fullbacks, despite those fullbacks being so different. And then you've got the attack. The attacking players of Arsenal have been nothing short of an absolute joy to watch this season. Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka and Jesus have this wonderful relationship on the pitch and an understanding of each other's games. They almost look like they were made to play with each other, but that's obviously done on the training ground and has been done over the last year or so, and in particular what was a fantastic pre-season where Arteta clearly drilled this team. They are able to play their own games. You know, you're seeing the best of their strengths whilst not affecting the others in a negative way. And I think that's really, really impressive. And again, something that Arteta deserves huge credit for. This has brought this cohesion to the attacking play. And it's also brought a dynamism, because once you have that cohesion, it's just a look of the eyes. It's just very subtle moments in terms of that movement from dynamic players that allows these movements to stretch the opposition and make it so difficult to defend. Next up, Mutable Tactics. Now, yes, the players are playing different roles and moving all around the pitch, but they're not stopping there. And I think you've seen it at different times, according to the game state, that Arteta's not stubborn or naive. I think some people have been talking about naive when it comes to that Man United game, but I think overall, he's positive. He believes in his players and he wants to go out and win games. And I think overall, that's going to work out more times than it doesn't. In the Fulham game was the first time that we saw this, and we saw the good side of it, a change from the setup that we've seen for the bulk of the season, because Arsenal went 1-0 down. As you can see here, they were chasing the game, and instead of persisting of what they were doing, which wasn't working in that moment in time, they changed to a 3-5-2, which is something they've clearly been working on, bringing Nketiah into the fold. This graphic shows how they did that. So taking off Tierney and throwing on Nketiah was a big part of this turnaround. This wasn't a matter of just chucking on an extra body up front. It was Arsenal clearly rehearsing a scenario with Nketiah and Jesus staying close to each other and using each other to play wall passes that gave the Fulham back four a whole new type of problem, and the midfield as well. Because sometimes when you do these little bounce back passes, what it does is it freezes the whole of the opposition in terms of defensive nature. And also when players are close to each other, again, you don't know, do I go to him? Do I go to him? So you end up standing in between the two. And again, for a team that's able to play quickly, fluently in a rehearsed nature, it gives you a real chance to find new angles and moments. Arsenal went on, of course, to win this game 2-1. Very clever from Arteta again. The role of Xhaka is one I have to highlight as well, because it's a player that I felt has been lacking for a long time. But in this role, in this team, I think if you take him out and put him into any other team, he will not look as good as he does in this team. And I don't mean that as a dig at Xhaka. What I'm saying is that Arteta has found the perfect role that I think Xhaka is one of the few players in the Premier League could really, really do to this level, because what he is doing, and it will need a new name, he's a facilitator. He is a facilitator for the players around him, be it in the 3-5-2 or in the 4-3-3, in particular 4-3-3, because look, he's not going to score loads of goals, he's not going to dribble past players, but his understanding of his position, his role there, his understanding of seeing danger at times as well, to fill in for a left back, to fill in for a centre midfielder at times when it's necessary, and added to the fact that this is a guy who, although he is still, you know, youngish, he's not an old dude, he is a leader within that dressing room. I think we saw that with the All or Nothing documentary. So to have so many young players, you need a different kind of glue. It's an interesting one because he's not the playmaker all the time, but he is a facilitator for so many different players in this team. And then, of course, as I said, those intangible moments, both on the pitch and off the pitch, Xhaka offers up that experience as well and deserves huge credit for the role he's playing in the team, as does Arteta for how he's found that perfect role for Xhaka. If I can use a horrific analogy for a second, Arteta's been trying to sort of make this beautiful cake, right? Previously, he felt like he had a good oven. He's the oven in this analogy, but the ingredients weren't right. What is the final piece in this puzzle? And it kind of happens at the same time. Coming back to the cake thing, is you need both the ingredients and the oven, right? So what he did was he got rid of all those crappy ingredients and started to bring in very purposeful ingredients for this Arsenal cake that we've created. Don't worry, that's the end of the cake analogy. In terms of recruitment, which I'm really getting to, that's the point I was trying to get to. The recruitment has just been pretty stunning in terms of the squad building. And two elements of it have been crucial. The profile of the person and the player have been good. They've been young, they've been malleable, as we've spoken about, technically good players as well. But also they've been purposeful in terms of what Arteta needed. And some of the elements of this, it's actually bought him time to then build up players to bring them into new roles. A great example of this is Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu is a player who's sort of last minute signing. People are thinking, why have they signed him? But they bought a player who is there to be put in place for an elbow back four, to allow Tierney to bomb on. He'll come back, he'll win all of his aerial duels. Is he a centre-back? Is he a right-back? Is he both? Yes, he's a hybrid. So we're going to get him and have him there to play. And as time has moved on, knowing Tierney was there and knowing where they wanted to move as a club, they needed, you know, backups in both areas. That's how you create a good squad. So they've been able to turn Ben White into that kind of player now, playing on that right-hand side. But you now have two players who can play in that position really, really well. And on the left-hand side, Zinchenko and Tierney have again got two quality players. So it's very, very purposeful. I know I said that a couple of times, but a clear understanding of where they wanted to go, buying the right players, and then allowing the oven to do, I've brought it back again, I'm sorry, to do its job on some of those ingredients that you liked first and foremost. Although Ben White, of course, was a signing as well. Going back to Zinchenko, what a signing he's been as well. This is a real masterclass. And there's a few elements that I like about the Zinchenko one. First of all, in terms of just recruiting good players, you know, with that mindset that we've spoken about. And this guy is captain of Ukraine, but also buying those players from Man City who are clearly wonderful players, but there's just too many of them at Man City and are ready to make an impact elsewhere. That's a really smart move, and one that actually other clubs are probably a little bit too proud to do so. tactically, Zinchenko's genius for another reason. First of all, he can play as a proper out-and-out fullback for this side, but he gives them a new layer to the way that they want to play as well, as someone who can play in midfield, of course, as well, but also as someone who can play as an inverted fullback. This moves you forward in terms of working towards that overall goal of having as much forward presence as possible, because you've got someone who can go to left back when needs be, or play in midfield if needs be, but also someone who can sit there and recycle the ball comfortably, almost as a playmaker, essentially, as well as a left back. A really, really complete signing for Arsenal that gives them so many options. The signing of Gabriel Jesus, really, really smart as well. Paying 45 million straight off the bat, get it done. You know he's a good player, but you've also know he's got something to prove. I think Arteta's played on that when it comes to Jesus, as someone who's a bit part player. Yes, he played a lot of minutes. Yes, he played there for a long time, but he was always a bit part player, really. Man City comes into this Arsenal side and Arteta's challenging him, and he's someone that he knows will step up to that challenge. You've also got a wide skill set from someone who can be a poacher, a left winger, a complete forward as well. Unbelievable move for Arsenal, and one that they did early. By doing it early, you give them that full pre-season, which gives them that tactical strength and versatility that Arteta felt he needed this year. And last up, let's have a mention for Fabio Vieira, who came in for Odegaard, who was injured at the weekend. I think that would have been the next fear for Arsenal, was that, do they have the depth? Now, Fabio Vieira is a player that no one was talking about and everyone was Googling as soon as he signed, because he was a player that, again, didn't have that high level profile, but he's come in and he's popped into that spot that Odegaard plays on, that right-hand half space, and he looks at home, scoring a great goal, being really, really influential. And this will be crucial for them as well, because a great start is just that. It's just a great start. When the Europa League hits, injuries will occur, and they have already occurred at Arsenal, and something that they will have to be able to deal with. So to have these players who are incredibly hybrid and able to play a range of positions, again, means that the future's bright for Arsenal. Overall, when it comes to the transfer window, and the last two transfer windows, the willingness and the trust that they've shown in the players that they've brought in has been really, really smart, and has completely leveled up the entire squad. And in a way where, yes, you've spent that money, but it's one where there's a squad there that could stay there for the next 5 or 6 years. So in summary, the future is really, really bright for Arsenal once again. And I think they've got a club and a squad that they can be proud of. And that's not something that's been the case over the last few years. And I think it's a blueprint for a lot of teams, in particular teams with that little bit of money, to find your guy, invest in them and their ideas and their philosophy, and give it a second, because that is what has occurred here. And now Arsenal, after some growing pains, are at the start of a very, very exciting journey.